I thought what I would do this evening is do a short distillation of the key findings rather than walking through the report at any level of detail, as a way of then promoting some discussion and having any questions answered and that sort of thing. And if that's appropriate, I'd love to proceed that way.
Please proceed.
Thank you. The fundamental principles of transparency and accountability is really enshrined in the day-to-day business of municipalities, and was, I should say, when sections 238 and 239 of the Municipal Act were implemented in January 2008. 238 required procedural bylaws to be put in place and updated to reflect the requirements of the Act. 239 set out the open meeting provisions that would be a standard in terms of accountability for all municipalities and transparency as well for all municipalities across Ontario, a base from which to operate and a base from which to prepare your procedural bylaws on this matter as well. They were deliberately designed at the time, I know, because I started my life in the municipal trenches back in 1975. They were designed to establish a higher set of standards and procedures to govern open and closed meetings conducted by all municipal councils, and as well local boards and committees that were covered by the legislation and intended to be covered by the legislation at that time in 2008. In short and in brief, the first major and significant conclusion of the finding of the investigation was this: the Waterfront Development Committee was found to be a local board for the purposes of Section 239, a finding that is based on case law that has been emerging over time in reports and correspondence that we can find at the Ontario Ombudsman's Office, and which I've recently shared with your clerk's office and Ms. Finn as well. And I'd like to take a moment just to talk about those 4 points, if you like, because they weren't really elaborated on in the report. It was missing in the report. I think you need to hear. Based on the review of case law, there are 4 criteria that may distinguish an entity as a quote-unquote local board under the Act. Firstly, the entity must be carrying on both the affairs of the municipality. Ready? And there must also, number 2, be a direct link with the municipality must be found. And that's either by way of legislation or of authority from the municipality. And thirdly, there must be a connection to or control by the municipality overall. And there must be also, in balance, an element of autonomy. Now, part of my work and part of my investigation also involved a careful look at the terms of reference of this particular committee. And when you do look at the terms of reference, which I'm not going to repeat, but 1 through 7, as they were adopted, I believe, by Council in 2011. I may actually stand to be corrected, but the date that I picked those up from documents from city staff had a date of October 2011, if I remember correctly. Those terms of reference clearly fall in all respects within those 4 pieces of criteria that define a local board. And I think for me, the light started to come on when we had to deal, I think it was about a year ago this time, maybe, with the Committee of Adjustment review, when it was very clear that the Committee of Adjustment itself, in and of itself, was a local board. There was no debate. And that point, as a municipal practitioner or a municipal staffer for many years, began to sort of slowly turn a light on and say, we're not just talking about municipal councils when it comes to 238 and 239. We're talking about the whole gamut of business which is going on in municipalities, whether it be a committee, whether it be a board, whether it be any type of entity that's governed by council under those sort of 4 procedures, those 4 criteria. Now, the link back to your procedural bylaw also is important, because what I found here was that I also found that the committee itself is really a local board under your procedural bylaw. And moreover, what I found was there was an amendment to the city's procedural bylaw that this particular committee, as well as many others, were deemed to be standing committees of council back in 2012. In fact, it took those groups, those bodies that were up there, and said, we recognize you as a council, and it said, when you then begin to work with your procedural bylaw, that those committees, as it may be applicable, because that's what it says in the definition, okay, those committees will be subject to the rules and procedures of council as well. So, that brings me then to the findings in this case.